What's going on? This is the Broke Genius, and welcome to the life of a broke genius. Welcome to my channel.
What's going on? Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's kind of been on my mind, and I'm noticing it. Well, I've been noticing it for a while, even in YouTube. And what I've noticed is you have a lot of delayed, basically parenting. Delayed, not, or even you got people that are have already decided that they're no longer going. They're not even going to have children, which is fine. But what I'm going to be talking about is basically basically elder parents, or I would call them grandparent parents. So just to give clarity what I'm talking about, and give an age range, and I'm definitely gonna read a couple articles that talks about this phenomenon, because basically what's going on is unilaterally people are having children at a later date. Like the early 80s, people generally had children at around their early 20s. Now, on average, that age is late 20s. So I'm definitely going to read some articles, and I'm going to talk about delayed parenting. So when I think of what a grandparent's parent is, right? What an elder parent would be, it really shocked me, and it reminded me why I was like kind of perplexed to, or kind of ambitious to want to have children, because as you see this grandpa here, that pretty much it notes on Facebook or whatever, or other social media, this is like a popular video. This is the guy, he's strolling in his children's graduation, and he's about 70 years old, and he's strolling through his children's graduation because he had them late. Okay, this pretty much, I have to say, I'm not going to be too far off from this gentleman. I mean, hopefully I have some better threads, but yeah, pretty much you got to think about it. It's rather shocking, and for women, it's pretty much worse, because the thing about it is, one thing about men, the difference, one of the biggest differences between men and women is basically fertility, right? So when it comes to fertility, women tend to um, basically age out quick with being able to actually conceptualize a natural childbirth, right? So basically, when it comes to women, when they get to a point where they're 35, 40, that is actually geriatric pregnancy. That is becoming to a point where when you're 40 years old, that's pretty much it's a lot of women are having children at that age, but it's considered your fertility is becoming geriatric. Now, on the other hand, for men, and this is why the whole we're all equal crap is really messing women up, primarily a lot of younger women, because, but let's face it, by the time a woman is approaching 40, a lot of things are already kind of like becoming to a point where you've already been had at that point. The lies that have been told to you have already been fulfilled. Okay. Well, the thing is what's being told is that, you can do everything just like men. You can delay childbirth, and you can, focus on money and career and everything like that. Well, here's the deal with the difference between men and women when it comes to child rearing. For example, this man in this video here, he looks about anywhere between 70 and 80 years old. A man's virility for basically being able to deliver healthy sperm, yes, it ages with age. But I'm 40 years old. Okay, as far as compared to a woman, I'm like 30 years old. I can still have healthy children without any problems. I'm just basically damn near getting started. Okay, it's just in case you didn't know, the late Isaac Hayes, if you ever watch any of the black exploitation movies or even South Park, he was the guy that played Chef, the voice of Chef. He had his last child 2 years before he died. He died when he was 82. He had a two-year-old before he died. He's 80 years old. Okay, so I mean, in certain instances, they say the black woman is God or whatever, woman is God or whatever. In other regards, the black man is God. Like, for example, being able to have a baby at 80 years old, a healthy baby, girl or boy, that's some God shit, God body type stuff. So the thing is that, you gotta look at it from a lens of, we got different traits and different abilities. But for what I would call being a elder parent or grandparent parent is the age range of 30 to 50 years of age. Because here's the thing, that this is how my mind thinks. This is how my mind thinks about it. Okay, let me change this so you could kind of get this. This is how I think about it, and this is why I was like, kind of like, oh man, I gotta hurry up, because in many ways I was kind of afraid to be this guy in the suit. I was afraid in my mind. I didn't want to be Steve Harvey, come to pick my children up. Like I didn't want to be, basically no old ass dude with kids. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. This is how I look at it in my mind. This is why I put 30, definitely 30 plus to 50. Because see, you got to look at it from an age range. You got to look at it like, just like, this is how I look at it in my mind. When I was in high school, basically my mother, my father was older. My father was probably in his 50s or late 40s when I was in high school. But it's a 20-year gap between, I look at the adulthood of my children versus my age now. So even because I didn't start having children until about, I was 30, 35 years old, give or take. So I've already became that elder parent, that grandparent parent. Basically, when you walk your children, people will mistake you for the grandparent versus the parent. That's why I call it a grandparent parent. A funny story. I was about probably about 25, about 26 years old. I was at my high school at a basketball game or something, right? And my wrestling coach, he was a dean. He was a dean of students in my high school, and he was with someone that I thought was his grandson, but it was his actual little, toddler son. It was his son was no older than 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old. I was like, man, that's your grandson? He was like, no. And my wrestling coach, my freshman wrestling coach, he was already older when I was like 14. I started wrestling when I was 14. He already had gray hairs. He was a middle-aged man. I'm talking about this was almost 10 years after I graduated high school. I saw him with, a 3-year-old, walking a 3-year-old. And the thing about it is, yes, men can do that. Men, here's the thing. Like, that's the superpower when it comes to men. Men can have children. Basically, I'll give you some knowledge, right? Your men's sexual virility is actually tied into their actual overall mortality and actually health. For example, when men, as a man, one of the barometers of your health is your actual sexual health, such as when your penis stops working and you having problems, like you at the point where you are becoming impotent. That's a very bad sign for a man, because that means that you have some internal problems that are basically causing that, and you are actually on your way out of the door. Literally, a man's sexual health is very much tied into his overall health. Now, with women, it's pretty much it's similar with women. I would have to say, as above and below, because technically, women can through a lot of diet, like basically eating natural foods such as like no meat products and dairy and all that other shit, eggs, like become like, it's very well known that women that have a plant-based diet and whatnot, they can have children, at like healthy children naturally at up to about 50 years old. Okay. A lot of Indians that they're they don't eat meat. They have it's mothers that have given birth in their like 60s in India, because primarily it's a lot of Indians that by their very religion, they don't eat cows or meat. They have a vegetarian diet. So it's very well possible for a woman. The oldest I know with research is for a woman to have natural birth, or even have birth through in vitro. It's like 50 plus years old. After 50, I mean, you talking about some old like miracle cosmic talk type, stuff, because the thing is, it becomes almost nil. You might as well think about adopting and stuff like that. Now, for men, be 60 years old and still bust off and create a baby, it's like it's like clicking a mouse on a keyboard. Like, I mean, to most men naturally that still work and walk around and shit. Yeah, they can. Not only are they busting off, they like a lot of the men that are that age and they got money, they'll just pay women to actually, younger women, to just kind of be with them. They'll just literally be sugar daddies. Okay. But this is where I came with this range. You think, damn, I'm 30. I ain't that old, but you got to think about it. Think about it like this. And you also you also have a year between the time that your woman conceives before she even gives birth. So it's like a year, and then not then the baby becomes a year old. So by the time you're 30, your child, the child will be like the child at 20. At 20, you will be 50 years old. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you're showing up to your children's graduation, or like, I don't know, junior year in college, and you're 50 years old, think about it. You're old as hell. Okay. Now, even myself, I'm gonna be 55 when my oldest child is in college. That's pretty old. Okay. Because I mean, the whole thing is, this is why, ideally, 20s, or even I would even say 18 to 28 range. 18 to 28 range is like basically where your child, you kind of like, okay, by the time your child is in college, you're still in your late 30s, or at the most, you're going into your late 40s, right? And it's like, this is how I look at it. When it comes to like delayed parenting, to kind of like, to put things in a nutshell, I just add whatever age you are and add 20 on it. Now, I know, like, okay, there's people that get, like, a lot of men, they delay, a lot of men delay their actual uh you know parenting, or having the children or whatever, because it just takes a while sometimes before you get your life in order to figure things out. I mean, for myself, it took me a while to actually be comfortable with the idea of actually wanting to have a child, so it does take a while for some people. Now, the thing is that, like I said, going back to this age range, you have a lot of people that are delaying child, basically rearing, or actually having children. So I'm gonna read a couple articles to basically substantiate what I'm gonna be talking about. We kind of drill down on what's actually going on here. Okay. Now, like I say, to put things in perspective, when it comes to like motherhood, right? Like I say, pretty much for the most part, you're okay typically from 35. After 35, it becomes like the hourglass shrinking, right? With the sand in it, right? The sands of time. And the older you get, the more complicated. And it depends on genetics. It depends on your health, your overall virility, or fertility, basically, as a woman. Some women can have, like, children after 40, and it's just another day in the market. It's just another day. It's no big deal. A lot of women, even between 40 and 45, there you don't you'll think you got guys that'll get women that's 40 something years old, and they get all excited. Next thing you know, they they in their early 30s or whatever, late 20s, and they got a basically a cougar knocked up, because they was shooting the club up with the woman that was like 42, 43 years old, and thinking, oh, she's not gonna have any children. Man, typically, even with modern the way things are, I mean, typically if a woman, like I say, is very fertile, you got some women that are very, very fertile. Okay. Um, Between 40 and 45, they can definitely get knocked up. Okay. Even in some cases, close to 50 or even in the 50s, it's women that's definitely, if you talk to, all you got to do is go talk to some older women and just basically, you know, whether you buy them a drink or whatever, just ask them, have you ever had any pregnancy scares, or have you had any slip ups? And they'll tell you. That's something that women literally will sit down at a cocktail party and giggle and laugh and share their their slip ups or their pregnancy scare stories, because it's quite, it happens. And then you are just about, if you're married or you're in a relationship with a woman and you have multiple children and you're together, whether you shacking up, whether you married, every couple is gonna have that late baby. Not every couple, but it's quite often for a couple to have a late baby. And the late baby usually comes after 40 or close to 40. That's usually what comes of that. You even have women that they get married late, and they have a baby at 40, 38. That's becoming quite common right now, in today's time. So I'm gonna read an article from the New York Times. I'm going to put this in the chat, and it's going to talk about delayed motherhood. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So this is why American women everywhere are delaying motherhood. The birth rate is falling for American women in their 20s, especially places where the local economy is booming. This is dated actually June 16th, 2021. So it reads, Phoenix. Louise Portillo, the oldest daughter of Mexican immigrants, has many plans. She is studying to be a skincare expert. She has also applied to nursing school. She works full time too as a nurse's aide and doing eyelash extensions. That's funny. Oh man, a business she would like to grow. But one thing she has no plans for anytime soon is a baby. Miss Patillo's mother had her when she was 16. Her father has worked as a landscaper for as long as she can remember. She wants a career and more control over her life. I can't get pregnant. I can't get pregnant, she says. She tells herself, I have to have a career and a job. And if I don't, it's like everything my parents did goes in vain. For decades, delaying parenthood was the domain of upper middle class Americans, especially in big coastal cities. Highly educated women put off having a baby until their careers were on track, often until their early 30s. But over the past decade, as more women of all social classes have prioritized education and career, delaying childbearing has become a broad pattern among American women almost everywhere. And the fact that she looks like Miss Piggy might have something to do with why she's delaying childbirth. But anyway, let me continue. The result has been the slowest growth of the American population since the 1930s, and a profound change in American motherhood. Women under 30 have become much less likely to have children since 2007. The birth rate for women in their 20s has fallen by 28%, and the biggest recent declines have been among unmarried women. The only age groups in which birth rates rose over that period were women in their 30s and 40s, but even those began to decline over the past 3 years. So basically, they're about to show a chart, a birth rate chart, and this is like basically the changes of the birth rates. Okay, now they're saying that some areas the birth rate is increased from 1996 to 2007, but from 2007 to 2019, birth rates have fallen nearly everywhere. Now, if you know anything and you've been following me, I've talked about how the economy basically, kind of affects how women basically, want to have sex and actually even rear children. I bet you the economy has definitely something to do with these declining birth rates. You best believe that has something to play with it. But this basically has a whole bunch of charts and stuff like that they actually talked about. So this is pretty much it's a woman with a little dog, a little puppy, black woman with the puppy. That's pretty common. So yeah, this basically is a chart talking about what I'm basically saying. It says birth rates fell more in counties with strong job growth, births per 1,000. So yeah, job. Oh, so they're saying the opposite. They're saying with strong job growth, basically birth rates fall. So they're saying people that get more job growth, like areas with higher job growth, actually get the birth rates start to fall. So you working, you can focus on your career, making money from your job, and you're delaying childbirth. Okay, so this is what this is saying. So yeah, this is I'm not gonna read too much of this, but this shows it kind of talks about a lot of mothers that are delaying motherhood. Okay, now this other article here is talking about delayed fatherhood, and this is from the Wall Street Journal. So this reads, why some men delay fatherhood. First-time fathers are now more than 27 years old on average, lengthening transition to adulthood. Remember I said basically the first-time fathers are getting older, okay, in America. In the late 80s, the first-time fathers average was 25 and had 2.1 children, okay? More than 80% of men, this reads, who've never had children say they would like to start a family someday, but in the past 30 years, they've steadily postponed fatherhood, and the longer they wait, the less likely it is to happen. First-time fathers on average are now more than 27 years old, and in a total have fewer than 2 children. In the late 80s, they were 25 and had 2.1 children. If people want to have kids, but they're not, what does that mean, says Karen Benjamin Guzzo, acting director of Center for Family and demographic research at Bowling Green State University. It means something is making it difficult to fulfill their own desire to have a family. So this chart says average of men by education level upon birth of first child. Less than high school diploma, 23.9. High school with GED or diploma, 26. It's like a couple years older. Some college is actually younger, 25.8. Bachelor's degree, men with bachelor's degrees are average age 29. Master's degrees, 32. Wow. So the more education, a slight margin of delayed fatherhood. Like, basically the guys that got a bachelor's or higher, they're waiting to their 30 and older to have children. Okay. The guys that basically, don't have a high school diploma, they're shooting the club up at like 23. This further reads, the National Center for Family and Marriage Research, where Dr. Guzzo is an affiliate, analyzed the education, relationship status, and average age at fatherhood among men ages 40 to 44 using a national survey of family growth. A potential reason for the delay in fatherhood, the researchers found, is what demographers call the lengthening transition to adulthood. The point at which men and women feel as if they have achieved adult status. You finish your education, you secured a job, you have a stable income, and often when you're married and you're able to purchase a home, Dr. Guzzo said, having kids is the last step. So this they basically saying that it's certain prerequisites that is taking men and women a longer time to achieve, which is basically some level of education secured, a stable job and income, and a house, and then ideally an ideal relationship, i.e. marriage, for them to actually, want to have a child. A lot of people, I talk about a lot about all of this, and a lot of people are really, really having a hard time with all of those. All of these are talking points, okay? Job, stable income, marriage, purchasing a home. I'm still working on my house, man, kicking my butt. But but some people, as this further reads, but some people take 5 or 6 years to earn an undergraduate degree, or they extend their education even further by entering a postgraduate degree program. In the process, they might accumulate a daunting amount of student loan debt, making their other transitional milestones seem financially impossible, at least in the short term. That knocked out. That's millions of people basically, and I'm included one. But I wasn't necessarily, thankfully the student loan department ain't breaking legs and harassing you too much. You can put your student loans on deferment, go back to school. You can pay minimum payments and all of that stuff. But yeah, people they're actually throwing in another thing, because these rising student loans, taking a longer time to finish college. Yeah, all of those prerequisites that I talked about earlier that this national foundation is actually talking about is having people wait a longer time to actually have children. So let me put this other article here and read further. So according to the National Center for Education Statistics, Attending a 4-year college now costs about 5 times as much as it did 30 years ago. In current dollars, the average cost of tuition, fees, and room and board was $26,593 for 2016-2017 school year, compared with the $5,504 in 1985 and 86. I think the student loan debt crisis is one of the big ones affecting people's ability to buy a home, form a relationship, start a family. Dr. Guzzo said, if you take out a loan for $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 or more, you're repaying this for a long time. So basically, this kind of goes into what I was talking about, what I've been talking about on my show. I mean, basically on my channel, which basically all of these things, the student loans, getting out of debt, basically all of that is debt, and then being able to afford or pay for a mortgage. Your debt to income ratio, that you got a big student loan account, it drives up your debt to income ratio, so makes you out of the hunt for even able to purchase a house, get a mortgage. So yeah, a lot of people, man, are having a hard time dealing with all of that, and that definitely, if you're factoring in all of that, not a lot of people are willing to roll the dice and actually roll the dice and become parents or shoot the club up. They're just not willing to do that. So in this basically, that's what those articles are saying. That last article basically sums up my about 70-80% of my channel of what I talk about. I mean, all of the obstacles that you have to overcome. It just makes life very challenging. And I'll be honest, a lot of people are not willing to kind of, have children and struggle. You want to have children and be able to kind of be smooth like this brother in this video, and you have all your ducks in order. And it might take you get 70 years old, 60 years old, but yeah, some women, they don't have that time, So yeah, I mean, basically, I want to say one of the things this is the argument, right? From quote unquote bougie people, or the educated class, or the higher class, or whatever, middle class. So the thing is that the argument goes that basically, as I sip on my little drink, caught mid action, that the poor people, they ain't got no problem having kids. They ain't got no debt. Poor people are not going to college. They don't have student loan debt. They might not have a high income. It might even, you would even argue in many cases, they depend on government subsidies to basically fund their lifestyle and or parental responsibilities, right? But they have more than one kid. They might have 4 or 5 children, and it's like, yeah, you got your little 1 or 2 children, and you got another family that has 4 or 5 children. Okay, and it's like, here's the other thing that what I noticed, and that is this movie called Idiocracy. Okay, that might have something to do with it. That might have something to do with why America is turning into an idiocracy. Okay, just like the movie Idiocracy. Okay, I mean, it's one of the most funniest movies that you will ever see. Is starring Terry Crews as the president. Okay, if you watch that movie is not far off from the last administration. and just how things are, how dumb people are actually now. People are dumb as hell right now. I mean, this is the dumbest I've ever seen people in America. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't call, like, I'm broke, but I ain't dumb. I read, I'm very well educated. All I had to do, I just had to go to school, and I had to do a whole bunch of papers. I mean, read a whole bunch of books, show up. I mean, it's not that difficult. Like let's just say I didn't go to college for as long as I went, and I just read a whole bunch of books. The library is free. The bookstore doesn't cost that much for a book, but yet, people are so inundated with TV and media that they just literally drop the ball on intelligence. People confuse intelligence with actually with academics, and it's not. You got people that definitely are college educated and are idiots. I'll say it to their face that they're idiots. I'll prove that they're idiots. Okay, and you got people that's college degree. Man, I ain't gonna throw anybody under the bus. I'm not gonna say zero down on anybody, but people that know me personally and definitely family members. I got people that I know, that dear family members, that had a bachelor's degree and died in poverty. Okay, I would even say it saddens me to say this, but it's more than one person that in my family died in poverty and were bachelors and had a bachelor's degree. That's why I'm highly critical of one book that I would say is a must read, and it's called The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Because you can go to college and you can get the degree, you can get the job, and you can still basically lose everything, because it's about your will, it's about your actions, and it's about setting your life up right and being consistent, and not only consistent, following through. And it's like, yeah, it's very difficult. Life is not easy, but the thing is that when it comes to actually having children, you might be making it matter worse by delaying fatherhood and motherhood, because you're not having enough children to actually compete. To actually, if you're intelligent and smart, you can train your children to be just like you, if not better. You're not having these children, you're not adopting. So then, you're basically going a whole life, let's just say, with just cats and dogs. That's not helping this country get smarter and more competitive at all. It's not helping. So in essence, it actually makes the situation worse. And then you have these people that, let's just say, that they're not highly educated. They're more kind of in the bottom of a lot of different categories, and yet they're having more children. And yes, some of them rise the ranks and actually their children become very great, right? And it's like, yeah, you would think that the people that basically are the elite or the higher ups, or um the people that are the best of the people, right? Of the populace, the educated, the highly high income earners, high net worth individuals, they would have more children, right? Or even adopt more children so they can have these children become better people, right? Be smarter individuals, but they're not. So in essence, it's actually making the situation, like I said in the movie Idiocracy, actual, not just movie, but a reality, because of that kind of, I guess you want to say discrepancy of child rearing, right? So it's just something to think about as a theory. I've never really drilled down on the theory and looked it up, or contacted anybody or whatever about that, because that's something probably you would need to contact somebody to actually do studies on, because the thing is that I mean, yeah, the children of, I would say, people that are high net worth and highly educated, yeah, I would say their children are set up very much, could be set up very well, versus children that, let's say, were brought up in the slums or in the impoverished area or whatever community. That is something that statistically is already out there. But yeah, I mean, it just begs the question, what if your children, pass away? What if you pass away and all of that stuff? You don't have, enough children to actually carry on, what you actually know, and all of this other stuff, versus, a family in a projects having 5 or 6 children, so to your one. Okay, so yeah, it just things, it's just things to theorize and think about. But that's definitely something that I've thought about myself. But anyway, I am going to close this one on out, and I just have to say, as a father of children, I would say that it's something that is very, very difficult at first. The first 5 years is I'll just say, like, the first 4 years is a struggle, because basically they're going from, basically you have to feed them and change their diapers and everything like that, and monitor them to, like, by the time they get like 4 years old, they can open up the refrigerator, get the milk, pour the cereal. It can, they might have some mess ups and stuff like that, but then they, becoming more self-sufficient. So once you get past the first, like, 0 to 4, it kind of becomes easier, and the thing about it is, financially speaking, it's depending on if I got 2, right? 2 children, as far as things is concerned. I manage. I'm able to manage. It's worth it. Definitely. But it definitely is a financial responsibility. And it's not like insane until you get into the child care aspect. When you going into child care costs and stuff, it starts getting insane, the cost and stuff involved with that. But that's why having your parents involved, having a grandparent involved that is an actual grandparent, your mom or your aunt, to actually watch your children, or even to have your spouse stay at home and rear the children and actually, basically act as their own child care. It actually is better if you can do that. But the child care expenses is the most expensive in that regard. So this is it's just a video that I was thinking about, and it's something for you to think about. You got a lot of people out there that are actually, they don't have children yet, and it's probably gonna make them feel a little bit depressed. So maybe I don't know how this will go. This might help some people want to shoot up the club, or actually not even shoot up the club, because I mean, maybe you might be too old. I don't know. But there you go.
Message.